4 in the morning, Highway 18, North Carolina. The trucker can barely see through the rain, and then his headlights catch her, a 9-year-old girl, walking alone in a thunderstorm. He hits the brakes. He turns his rig around to help her. She sees him coming, runs off the road, and disappears into the trees. That is the last time anyone reports seeing Asha Degree alive. For 25 years, the only people on Earth who know what happened in those woods will say nothing. They will live ordinary lives. They will get married. They will have children. They will go to work. And then, in 2024, the FBI will come to their door. Asha Degree was 9 years old. She was afraid of the dark. She was afraid of dogs. She would not walk to the mailbox without her mother. And on the morning of Valentine's Day, the year 2000, she opened her own front door, stepped into a violent thunderstorm, and walked out of her parents' house alone. Her parents had been married on Valentine's Day, 12 years to the day before their only daughter disappeared. For 25 years, the FBI could not answer one simple question: why did she leave? In 2025, they finally answered it in public, and the answer involves 3 sisters, 2 black garbage bags, and a confession at a house party that one drunk girl was never supposed to make. This is what really happened to Asha Degree. Asha Jaquilla Degree was born on August 5, 1990, in Shelby, North Carolina, a small town in the foothills west of Charlotte, the kind of town where people know your last name before they know your first. Her parents, Harold and Aquilla Degree, had married on Valentine's Day in 1988. They had 2 children, a son, O'Brien, and a daughter, Asha. The 4 of them lived in a 1-story house on Oakcrest Drive. Asha was, by every account, a careful child, bright, quiet, obedient, a 4th grader who got her homework done early, a churchgoer who stood close to her mother, a child who needed the hallway light on to fall asleep. She was afraid of the dark. She was afraid of dogs. She was afraid of being alone. Asha Degree was not the kind of child who runs away, which makes what she did on the night of February 13, 2000, almost impossible to explain. Unless someone, somewhere had given her a reason to. The Degrees had a quiet Sunday evening. Church, television, dinner. The kind of normal you only remember once it's gone. Outside, a storm was building over the Carolinas. Heavy wind, sideways rain. The kind of weather that keeps grown men inside. At 2:30 in the morning, Harold Degree got up and checked on his children. He saw Asha asleep in her bed, O'Brien asleep in his. Everything was as it should be. It was the last time anyone in that house would see Asha alive. At 6:30 a.m., Aquilla Degree went to wake her daughter for school. The bed was empty. The blankets were pulled back. The front door was unlocked. Asha had taken her school backpack with her. She had taken nothing else. She had left no note. A 9-year-old girl who was afraid of the dark had walked, in the middle of a thunderstorm, out into the night she had been afraid of her entire life. Harold and Aquilla called the police within minutes. By sunrise, half of Cleveland County was searching for their daughter. They were not going to find her. But by lunchtime, the first calls would start coming into the sheriff's office. Drivers. None of them connected to each other. All of them describing the same impossible sight. The drivers all said the same thing: a small child, walking alone, on the shoulder of North Carolina Highway 18, in the middle of a violent storm. One trucker was so disturbed by what he saw that he turned his rig around to help her. When he got close, the girl ran off the road and disappeared into the woods. That is the truck driver from our cold open. That is the last confirmed civilian sighting of Asha Degree. But there is a second detail from the witnesses on Highway 18 that morning. A detail the original investigators wrote down, filed away, and that nobody in the public would understand the meaning of for another 24 years. At least one witness said they saw the girl near a car, not just any car, a 1970s-style vehicle, a green Lincoln, a Thunderbird, or something very close to it. According to the most recent reporting on the case, investigators now believe Asha may have been pulled into that car. Remember that car. It is going to come back. For 24 years, it will sit at the edge of the case file, quiet, waiting. In 2024, the FBI will find the family that owned it. Within 24 hours of Asha's disappearance, the search for her became one of the largest in North Carolina history. Hundreds of volunteers, K-9 units, state troopers, helicopters scanning the woods between Shelby and the South Carolina line. Searchers found one piece of physical evidence. Inside a storage shed not far from Highway 18, they recovered small personal items consistent with what Asha had been carrying. Candy wrappers, a pencil, a hair bow. It looked like she had taken shelter from the storm there for minutes, maybe an hour. And then she had moved on, or been moved. The shed was the last place in this entire case where investigators could place Asha Degree with certainty. After that, the trail went cold. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and a 9-year-old girl who was afraid of the dark simply was not found. For 17 months, the case crawled. And then, in August of 2001, a construction crew working in a county Asha had never visited, 30 miles from where she vanished, dug up something they were not supposed to find. And then, in August of 2001, a construction crew working in a county Asha had never visited, 30 miles from where she vanished, dug up something they were not supposed to find. What they pulled out of the dirt was a child's backpack. It had been wrapped deliberately inside 2 sealed black plastic garbage bags and buried. Backpacks do not bury themselves. Inside the bag were Asha's school books, her clothes, items that placed her, without any remaining question, in the hands of another person on the morning she disappeared. Whoever buried this bag had not lost it. They had hidden it, carefully, permanently. They had wanted it to never be found. It had been found anyway. Investigators sent everything to the FBI lab. They tested everything they could, but in 2001, the technology to pull a clean DNA profile off contaminated, water-damaged objects buried in dirt for over a year did not really exist yet. The lab returned partial profiles. Nothing usable, nothing that could be matched to a person. So the FBI did the only thing they could. They sealed the backpack into evidence storage, and they waited, for 23 years, for the science to catch up. It finally did. For most of the next 2 decades, the Asha Degree case was a story without an ending. Harold and Jaquilla Degree did not move. They stayed in the same house on Oak Crest Drive, the same house Asha had walked out of. They raised her brother O'Brien inside it. They left her bedroom largely the way she had left it. The FBI never officially closed the case. Agents rotated in and out of the file. The reward money climbed slowly, $40,000, then $60,000, then $75,000. Theories came and went. Some people believed Asha had been lured by someone on the early internet. Some thought she had been taken by a long-haul trucker passing through town. Some thought she had wandered away briefly and met someone on Highway 18 who decided not to take her home. None of those theories explained the buried backpack. None of them explained the green Lincoln. And none of them explained why a child who was afraid of the dark would ever, under any circumstances, walk into one alone. Then, in September of 2024, the FBI came back to Cleveland County. Not to the Degree family's house this time. To a different house, a few miles away. A house that had been sitting there the entire time. In September of 2024, the FBI and the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office executed a series of search warrants on a property owned by a man named Roy Lee Dedman. Roy Dedman lived there with his wife, Connie. The couple had raised 3 daughters in that house. Lizzie, the oldest, then Sarah, then Anna Lee, the youngest. In February of 2000, when Asha Degree disappeared, Lizzie Dedman was 16. Sarah was 15. Anna Lee was 13. For the first time in the public history of the case, investigators announced something they had quietly believed for years. Asha Degree had not run away. Asha Degree had been the victim of a homicide, and they believed members of the Dedman family had been involved. The probable cause was not a hunch. According to court documents, items from inside Asha's buried backpack, the one wrapped in 2 black plastic garbage bags, had finally been retested using modern DNA forensics. 2 profiles came back. The first profile belonged to a man named Russell Underhill, a local figure who had died in 2004. He could no longer be questioned. But his DNA was on a 9-year-old girl's belongings, buried in plastic, 30 miles from where she vanished. The second profile belonged to Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, the youngest of the 3 Dedman sisters. 13 years old when Asha Degree disappeared. That was the DNA on the backpack. But the DNA was not the only thing the FBI had now. 1 week after the raids, a man walked into the sheriff's office to make a statement. He said he had been carrying a memory for 20 years, a memory of a party, and a girl named Lizzie, sobbing against a wall. The man's name is Thad Mellentine. In the mid-2000s, he was in his 20s, and he sometimes went to bars and house parties with the Dedman sisters. He told investigators that at one of those parties, he saw Lizzie Dedman, the oldest sister, sitting against a wall, drunk, sobbing. What he said he heard her say in that moment has become one of the central pieces of evidence. Lizzie Dedman, in that moment, confessed to being involved in the death of Asha Degree. For more than 20 years, Thad Mellentine had carried that memory alone. After the 2024 raids on the Dedman property hit the news, he came forward. His statement is now part of the official record. In February of 2025, investigators executed a second round of search warrants. They seized cell phones belonging to Roy Dedman and his daughters. According to the warrants, text messages between members of the family reference the party confession and read like the messages of people who know more. Roy Dedman and Connie Dedman were officially named as suspects in 2024. Lizzie was 16, Sarah was 15, Anna Lee was 13. Investigators believe they were too young to have buried a backpack 30 miles away on their own. It would have required adult assistance. Investigators believe that adult assistance came from the girl's parents. As of 2026, no one has been arrested in the Asha Degree case. Roy Dedman's attorney has called the connection between his client and Asha Degree tenuous. He has pointed to Russell Underhill. But the FBI does not agree. The case has been formally reclassified as a homicide. The reward for information is now $100,000. New billboards have gone up along Highway 18 and Highway 180, the same roads where a 9-year-old girl was last seen alive, near a green car. And there is one question that 26 years later the FBI has still not answered in public. A 9-year-old who is afraid of the dark does not walk out into a thunderstorm at 2 in the morning without a reason. She was walking somewhere. She believed someone was waiting for her. She had been promised something, or someone. On the other end of Highway 18, something so important that she put on her own backpack, opened her own front door, and walked into the storm she had been afraid of her entire life. What did Asha Degree believe was waiting for her in the rain, and who told her it was safe to come? The science has caught up. The witnesses have come forward. The names are in the public record. For the first time in 25 years, the people who know what really happened to Asha Degree are running out of places to hide. Harold and Jaquilla Degree are still in the house on Oakcrest Drive. They still mark Asha's birthday every August. They still mark the anniversary every Valentine's Day. They have not given up. The FBI says they will not stop. And somewhere in Cleveland County, North Carolina, someone knows exactly what happened to their daughter. They have known for 25 years. The question is how much longer they can keep it. If you want to follow the Asha Degree case as it develops, subscribe for ongoing coverage. And tell us in the comments, what do you think Asha Degree was walking toward that morning?